But this Offset dude, I ain't gonna leave him out. You know, I'm just real like this, you know, because, you know, niggas be throwing rocks and hiding their hand, right? They be throwing rocks and hiding their hand. And I don't like them kind of individuals, you know, and the truth of the matter is, you know, one can dance and different things in front of these different cameras and all that kind of shit. And when reality, the truth of the matter is, you know, nigga, you wasn't really right there with Takeoff when he was alive. You know what I mean? So for you to be taking these positions that you taking, you know what I mean? And I got people everywhere, so I hear all kinds of things. I'm gonna just say this to you. Don't never put me in no position where, you know, I have to defend myself. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be healthy for you.
Hey, first off, y'all speaking on my real brother. I don't know what y'all got, what the you got going on. Y'all speaking on my real brother. How dare one of y'all speak on me and Tate relationship? I don't know you from a can of paint. Y'all know how me and my brother rock. You trying to clear your face. This your 5th interview. You done did about my brother. You ain't think about his mama. You ain't think about the family. We ain't said nothing. Ain't nobody said nothing but you. You man, who y'all niggas got it. Ain't nobody going for none of that, bro. I ain't studying none of that y'all either. And if you heard something from me, I'ma tell you it's gonna come from me. Call my phone. Y'all niggas going off of he say, she say. Then y'all supposed to be this is who y'all supposed to be. And y'all on interviews and it out on an interview. Talking about I said that. Call my phone, homie. You call my phone, we'll have a conversation. Then what I'm talking about.
What's happening? What's good? What's going on? Part of my Presence YouTube channel. I want to talk about the whole situation with Takeoff's death and Offset talking, Quavo doing his performance at the Grammys, and then the J Prince family doing interviews and speaking on the whole incident in what seems to be their attempt to clear their name. Now, I wasn't even going to address this topic because it's Black History Month. I want to remain positive and deal with more important things, at least for the next 28 days. But when the news story came out just yesterday in regards to J Prince making another audio message towards Takeoff and his wife Cardi B and pretty much threatening them again, this is something that I just want to touch on because I don't know if people remember Tupac and Biggie and what happened there and how that particular rivalry and the deaths of those two people, how it destroyed the West Coast region and how it also destroyed the East Coast region for some time as well too. And I wonder with this whole thing brewing, whether or not this could be the precipice for the fall of the South, because if Houston and the Atlanta region cannot get along and there's beef, then that's going to slow up money for a lot of people in the industry. So I wonder what's going to happen with this situation. Is it going to get sorted out, or is this something that is going to bubble and even lead to more issues? And the other thing about this is that back during that beef with Biggie and Tupac, the media blew it up to large proportions and pretty much forced people to comment and to take sides and to force their hands, like Vibe, that magazine. You had The Source and other people in the media that was hyping it up, and it led to that. Now, when I look at what's happening now in this particular media atmosphere, we have people like Vlad TV, DJ Academics. They're all hyping this up and they're all posting different messages that are being made, and they're highlighting things and they're amplifying a lot of these issues, but yet they're going to hide their hands and say, well, I'm just being a journalist, or I'm just reporting, I'm not creating the news. But no, you're hyping it up as well too. You're also responsible for this. And if this escalates and it gets to the point where more lives are lost, then at what point are you going to take responsibility for the part that you played in it? So since Takeoff's passing, the rumors have been and the accusations have been that the argument that Quavo was having was with people or members of the Prince family, mob ties. And as a result of that argument, that's what led to Takeoff's death. So a lot of people have been pointing fingers at the Prince family and blame them for what transpired. So it doesn't surprise me that at some point the Prince family comes out and speaks up, but it is odd that they spoke while the case is still open, and they pretty much went on $1 million worth of game, and they pretty much gave their testimony, which I found odd, because if the case is still open and there's still an investigation going on, why are you giving your account of what happened at an interview, knowing that could be used in cross-examination, and that could be used to potentially put other people under indictments or charged for certain things? So it's kind of odd that they went on $1 million worth of game and they spoke very candidly. And it was Jay Prince's son. Then it was Mike Prince, which I guess is the younger brother of Jay Prince, and then Jay Prince was there too. And they all spoke about what transpired that night, and they all pretty much made sure that they had alibis for everything that they were doing. But what I found interesting was that at the end of the interview, Jay Prince decided to address Takeoff directly, and he said he didn't like Takeoff, or didn't like people like Takeoff, and the fact that he accused Takeoff of not even being in good standing with his own family, and he kind of insinuated that the Prince family was more closer to Takeoff than his own cousin was. And I found that kind of odd for him to say, and it's very disrespectful, to be honest, especially at a time where people are still mourning and it's still unknown as to what actually happened in the situation. But what the Prince family did is come on this show and they decided to point fingers and place all of the blame on Quavo's security guard, who threw the first punch, according to Jay Prince, and decided to escalate things where it became a shootout. Now, what I want to do, I want to compare the other side of this, which is the Migos family, and the fact that prior to Takeoff's death, there was a dispute or some type of family issue where Takeoff was no longer part of the Migos group, and there were some issues as to Takeoff doing something that kind of violated the trust of the family, and he was on the outs. And then a few months later, after they dropped their album, Quavo and Takeoff, Quavo dies. And ever since then, again, when you have a family that's feuding and there's no resolution, there's no way to reconcile, and there never will be anymore, because now one of the members they've died. So now you have unresolved issues. And even though both members spoke at the funeral and they had a lot of things to say and they got things off their chest, it's not really clear whether Quavo and Offset are on good terms, because what ended up happening is that at the Grammys, Quavo did a tribute to Takeoff, and Offset was there, but Offset apparently wasn't allowed to be a part of the tribute. And then there's rumors going on that Offset and Quavo got into a fight backstage, and then you have a response from Offset to Jay Prince and the interview that Jay Prince did when Jay Prince called him out, and Offset is making accusations and pretty much saying, Jay Prince, the Prince family, they're not the Gotti Mafia. You could call me. If you don't hear it from me directly, then, don't believe it. So you're saying all these different things to defend himself and to defend his honor and to pretty much say, who are you to tell me my situation and my relationship with my family? And I give him kudos for saying that, but here's the thing. This is a clear case of a family that shows up strong and united, even when they're wrong. You have three different generations, you could say. You have Jay Prince, you have Mike Prince, and then you have the Junior. So you have the different generations, and they're in the presence of each other. They're speaking about the situation. They're not talking over each other. They're in unison, and they are defending their family honor. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they are sticking up for each other. They have a unified message. Their bond is strong. They talk about loyalty. They talk about family values and family ties. And they're together. And then you have Offset and Quavo, which haven't been seen together. Offset and Quavo who are feuding. Offset and Quavo who are getting into fights at the Grammys. And now they're apart to deal with this family tragedy. No one else is coming out to defend them, to speak on their behalf. No one's rallying around them to say, hey, you guys need to have a united front. None of that. So this just goes to show you what it looks like when you're dealing with a strong family, a family who's together and has a unified message, and a family that's feuding, that's apart, that's disconnected, that has unresolved trauma. And you can see how the stronger family wins, and the stronger family is able to exploit and throw rocks and make accusations and create a even stronger and larger divide between the weak family. And I bring that up because you see that a lot in a lot of our homes, where there's either blended families, there's divided families, single parent households. There's warring between the mother and the father. There's disputes between the siblings, the cousins. And when you have a divided family, it's hard for you to put up a united front against outsiders. And it's easier for outsiders to pick apart, to cause dissension, to create animosity and issues, to exploit. And this is what I'm seeing here when I look at all of these things with the Prince family and the Migos family and everything that's going on. And what I find the wildest statement that he made is that in the interview, J. Prince actually says to Quavo that he hopes one day they'll all get past this and they can move on and continue to be family because they have a strong bond and there's love for one another. And then he also puts the onus on Quavo to back up the Prince family statements as far as what happened that night. And because J. Prince is saying that the family members stuck by him, they didn't run, they didn't neglect Quavo and Takeoff. And then you have J. Prince attacking Offset. And it's a clear case of when someone's trying to pit two family members against each other. And that can only happen if the family's weak. He's picking apart and dissecting and isolating people, and he's playing games. And it's similar to like the animal kingdom, how the pack of lions, they're looking for the weak member of a pack of buffaloes, and they search out and then they move strategically, and then they isolate the weaker members, and then they scatter them, they remove them from the pack so they become isolated, and then they go for the kill. But if those buffaloes stayed within the pack and didn't let people stray away, or if people did stray away and then the buffaloes saw what was happening, all the buffaloes would run back and help and save and to protect that particular person, none of these things would happen. The lions wouldn't be able to eat that particular buffalo. But this is what's happening here. You have the Prince family who's unified, who's together in their statements. They're appearing together, showing a unified stance, and they're really picking apart the Migos family. Because here you have him almost bullying Quavo to back up what they're saying, calling out Offset, saying that he's not who he appears to be, and then he's also wishing death upon Migos Benz, which was apparently the guy who started the whole fiasco. But all Migos Benz was doing is taking up for his own people. So I highlight that to kind of teach you a lesson as to what a united family, a united front looks like, even if they are wrong. And I'll be the first one to say it. The Prince family is dead wrong on how they're addressing this and how they're speaking to the family members of the people who lost a loved one, how they're addressing this in public. They're dead wrong. But guess what? They're united. They're together on it. They're going to die by it. And people are not going to speak up publicly against them. and people are not going to address them publicly, and eventually either it's going to come to a head where, you know, it creates more issues. But even if that happens, do you think that Quavo is going to ride with Offset? Do you think that the QC Records label, the family, quote unquote family, is going to ride with Offset, with Quavo, if they end up going against the Prince family? I don't think so. And we already know that there's an issue between Lil Baby and the Migos. So they're already divided. And a divided family can never win, can never beat, can never compete against a strong, unified family. Whether they're morally correct, whether their intentions are pure, none of that matters. What matters is that there's strength and unity in numbers, and having a unified message, and having one direction, as opposed to the Migos, which have splintered factions. They have the lone wolf and Offset. They're not addressing the issue as a unified front. No one's speaking on their behalf. Mixed messaging, prior trauma and issues that are being exploited. So again, all I see here is a microcosm for a family in what I see in society, and how a divided family, a broken family, is vulnerable. And this is a clear example. You let me know how you feel about this. Does it make sense? Do you see the same things that I've seen in this situation? Do you feel that Jay Prince is in the right for what he's doing? Or do you feel that this is going to be another East Coast, West Coast rivalry? You let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, part of my presence YouTube channel. Next move, best move. And make sure that if you have issues with your family, sort that stuff out, reconcile, and become a stronger and more functional unit to prevent people from exploiting you and tearing your family apart. That's my word of the day. Next move, best move. Peace.